12 rounds is going down on our body bars. Weak channel, stand with a bodyguard.
Talk Nation, Talk Nation. Leave it up to your boy Real Talk to bring y'all some real talk. Hey, check it out, man. Recently, after the Frank Martin press conference, none other than ERROL Spence. Shout out to Fighthype for the interview. ERROL said, you know what? We closer than ever. The Terence Crawford versus ERROL Spence fight is going to happen. And I quote, if it don't happen now, it ain't gonna never happen. And I'm gonna also make sure that I put some audio in there, man, so y'all can hear from the truth mouth himself.
Today, we know it's getting closer. I know you probably heard it so many times. The Crawford fight, everybody here comes up to you, keeps on talking about, hey, we got the money on you, we got the money on you. A lot of us feel that fight is going to be closer than before due to, him leaving Top Rank and being a free agent. Just a quick hint, maybe we're going to get the fight by the end of this year or possibly next year.
It's closer than it's ever been. So, if we don't have it now, it's never going to happen. So, it's way closer than what it used to be. So, I think it's definitely going to happen.
But check this out. The sport of boxing deserves Terence Crawford versus ERROL Spence. But does the fans? I'm a fight fan. You a fight fan. That's right. You. Come a little closer. Let me tell you again. You. A lot of fans have been listening to a lot of fake news, man. I dropped a video. Go check it out. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe when you hear the truth. I'm telling y'all, man, all I do is speak facts. All I do is give y'all real talk. Definite pun intended. A lot of these guys, a lot of these channels be breeding fake news. I just seen a video yesterday, kind of funny, from Dante's Boxing Nation. Shout out to Dante's Boxing Nation, man. My brother living good down there in Pattaya, Thailand. And he spoke on the LDBC and the new media, I guess how people, because ERROL Spence and Terence Crawford, like they kind of came at, especially ERROL, they kind of came at, quote unquote, the whole new media situation or franchise, whatever you want to call it, or whoever you want to call it. And they were talking about a lot of the fake news that channels is putting out there. And I tell you guys all the time, man, just because the channel is big, don't mean the channel is the truth. Not at all. And a prime example to that fact is what ERROL Spence said about the media. Now, if I don't put something out, it's because it ain't facts. If I don't see it on a verified Twitter account, or if it's not posted by the PBC, The Zone, Top Rank, Frank Warren, Sky Sports, whatever, I don't talk about it. But as far as saying something is a fact, that is true, that such and such said this or such and such said that, nah, we don't do that over here. We don't do that over here. And I had to check somebody in the comments section about that because I clearly gave my opinion. See, when you say something in relation to whatever context that you're speaking about, you're supposed to say my opinion. If it is not fact, if it doesn't come from a viable or credible source, you're supposed to say in my opinion, meaning it is your thoughts. It is not a fact. It is your thoughts, how you feel, your perception on whatever the circumstance, situation, or topic that you may be speaking of. Now, I will say this about Dante. He made a good point. Because once you are, quote unquote, talking about news, or you're giving people the news as we speak boxing news, you're supposed to have credible sources. Because if somebody ever questions your character or questions the validity of what you say, you're supposed to say, you know what, well, such and such said this, such and such said that. So then they can go back to your source and then they can fact check from them. Okay, where did you get your quote unquote facts from? Oh, I got my quote unquote facts from XYZ. If they choose to divulge that information. Because sometimes people may get information from inside the camp or from somebody that's close to the camp then they may not be able to or supposed to give that information out. Somebody can lose their job, they can lose their spot, they can lose their seat at the table. So you gotta be careful about that. That's why you have to be careful about what you say. Now, with that said, Terrence Crawford, he broke it down when he said, when he spoke to ERROL Spence one time in relation to the fight happening, he said, I want to F you up. Now, why would somebody say that if they ain't trying to fight? And there's one thing that I will give ERROL Spence. He hasn't been doing too much talking in a quote unquote media. He hasn't been spreading quote unquote fake news himself. So for him to come out and check these different channels about the stuff that they've been putting out, the LDBCs and the new medias and whatever, because Dante, he said, like, if you look at a couple of these quote unquote channels, when they make their titles, they be putting like bad news or wow or certain, you know what I mean, certain narratives or words that jump out to say, okay, this topic or this video or this situation that I'm speaking about is this, that, or the third. And Dante said, okay, he is the progenitor, or he came out with that. He's the one that started that narrative. Okay, I truthfully don't care. Now, if it's real, it's real. If it's fake, it's fake. Simple as that. It ain't a whole bunch of narratives around that. If something's true, it's true. If it's false, whatever. If it's truth, speak on it. If it's false, don't just be talking just to be talking. You know what I mean? Shout out to Al Green, one of my favorite songs. If people talk, they should have something to say. Preach. I'm trying to tell you. Only real talk, man. Only real talk. This is the biggest fight in a decade. So you have to be very careful as fans what you listening to. I know we all want this fight. The sport of boxing deserves this fight. The sport of boxing deserves this fight. For legacies of Crawford and Spence, they both deserve and should face each other. But us as fight fans, as fans of the sports, and supporters of these fighters and the sport in general, we have to be more educated, more patient, more receptive to the game and the principles of boxing. Some fighters, they may not care if you put out false narratives or fake news, because it's going to garner and bring attention to the fight, to them. It's going to keep the camera in their face. But for the most part, ERROL Spence and Terrence Crawford, they not like that. They not media, you know what I'm saying? They not media hoes, you know what I mean? They ain't always trying to jump in front of a camera and start talking. Nah, especially ERROL. This dude live on a farm. That should tell you everything about where ERROL's at right now in his life. ERROL wants some peace. He wants some quiet. He's trying to chill. If Bud's not in the gym, Bud is probably running, hiking in the mountains some damn where, you know what I mean? Probably fishing, you know what I mean? Just bought a nice boat. He's probably fishing with the family, chilling, playing cards, doing this thing. Like, these dudes are simple. Simple. They're not always out there in the street. They definitely don't. Well, ERROL kind of he kind of changed after the accident. So hopefully he's not doing some of the things that he used to do. So I will have to put Terrence Crawford in this boat when I say, like, they don't drink, they don't smoke, you know what I mean? Like, I ain't gonna say Bud don't go out, he don't have a good time, but he don't do no drugs, he don't, you know what I mean? He don't do anything negative, put anything bad in his body. And he does his best not to be in certain negative situations. But it ain't nothing wrong with being with your team, being with your family, being with your friends, hanging out. Not at all. But say even your team and even your family, even your friends, depending upon who you are and your status in the sport of boxing and what you are trying to accomplish, they need to check you. So hopefully that's why after ERROL situation, hopefully he probably, and I hope he did, downsize the people that he had around him. Because anybody that is close to you should not want to see you and have you in the street to the point where you don't have your faculties, or you're getting in a vehicle, or you're going somewhere and you don't have all your faculties about you. When you are a prominent figure, just in general and in whatever sport that you represent, in this case, boxing. So hopefully he got some of them bottom feeders, you know what I mean, from around him, and he kind of tightened up the team a little bit, because a circle is best and strongest when it's tight, when it's small. The bigger a circle, the more air you got on the inside. The smaller a circle, the stronger a circle. Don't have too many people around you. If you cannot really and truly trust somebody, don't have people around you just because you don't want to be alone. That's one of the weakest things of character that a person can do. To have people in your life and around you just because you feel as though you need somebody around you because you don't want to feel lonely. Come on, man. Boxing is a lonely sport. Any fighter will tell you that. Anybody that studies the game and the history of the game will tell you that. A lot of the greats were it was very low key. And I think I still got it. If I do, I'm gonna put that post up of Muhammad Ali when he was running. And I don't remember what he said verbatim, but it went a little something like this. Basically, he was saying, I try to stay away from the pack or from large crowds or whatever, because that crowds make me nervous. When I'm by myself, that's when I feel safest. That's when I feel as though I'm at peace. And I believe I still got it, man. If I do, I'm gonna most certainly put that up so you guys can check it out and so you can read that. But when I seen that quote, I mean, it blew me away because it reminded me of myself. I was always taught that coming up. If you can't have people around you that you can truly trust, because it ain't about depending on people. That's a weak trait. But if you can't have people around you that you can trust, then you don't have anybody around you at all. Listen to anybody that's been on the highest levels of boxing or at the highest status of in the streets, and they'll tell you the same thing, because generally it's always somebody around you or near you that brings you down. Real talk. But we're gonna wrap this up, man. But ERROL Spence versus Terence Crawford, this fight is going to happen. As I spoke, just didn't know when, just can't say when. But if you look at how both fighters move and how both fighters are, and ERROL, once upon a time when he was doing an interview, man, like he checked himself. I don't know if you guys will remember this, but check it out. ERROL was like, he said, that's how I should have did it a long time ago. Like I shouldn't have came out and said, you know what, I'm the big fish, I should get more and all this. No, he said, I messed up. He said, we should have talked about that behind closed doors. When ERROL Spence said that, I knew, number one, that he was maturing as not only as a fighter, but as a businessman. Because see, you don't do that. Sometimes you have to put your pride to the side and you have to compromise. You know who you are, you know what you bring to the table, but you also have another competitor in Terence Crawford, who is also pound for pound considered the best fighter in the world. And he brings valuable assets to the table. It doesn't always matter, you know what I mean, who's had the biggest pay-per-view numbers and all this. Nah. He is held as pound for pound the best fighter in the game. So you have to respect and pay him and treat him accordingly. Talk makes you stand up as your boy. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And y'all already know how I ride. Share the truth. Real talk. Peace.